Herman Rosenfeld.
Yeah, I just want to speak for a campaign which I'm participating in, and Brenda's been on it, and it's a very interesting space for the social justice component of transit. It's called the Fair Fare Coalition, and it's based around an organization called Sistering. You might have heard of Sistering. Is an organization that's been serving marginalized women, many of whom were experiencing homelessness, trauma, and has a very diverse population for about 30 years. It's like a drop-in center, a social space. And basically the people who were the main workers at Sistering started this Fair Fare Coalition with people at similar kinds of organizations. And its backbone are the people who are staff at these places, but also people who use these spaces. A lot of the marginalized women, and now there's some of the organizations they work with have marginalized men who in fact are joining it too. And there are people who are actually participating in this campaign. And there's a whole network of social agencies and drop-in centers, anchored by a number of incredibly bright and experienced women organizers and activists who make up the main guts of this campaign. And the key programmatic demand that animates it, and Brenda mentioned something, is geared towards making public transit reflect the needs of poor people, especially women. And so their main demands are around subsidized transit passes for all low-income people in Toronto. And these passes be provided on some basis based upon income, not that you have to have a card and that you have to ask each time you buy them, but they essentially be provided that way. And other elements are tied to this central demand as sort of like short-term ways to move in that direction. Free transit during extreme weather alerts of all kinds, discounts to social agencies who buy tokens for free distribution, and also they also talk about eventually a fair free transits for all. But the guts of it has to do with the low-income passes. That's sort of what brought this campaign together. And one of the strengths of the Fair Fare Coalition has been the creative and flexible tactics they use. Like they created this mock streetcar. It's hard to know if it's a streetcar or it's a subway car. And you wear it, and it's like a costume. And they basically taken this to a number of different social agencies, and they organized the demonstration in Dundas Square, taking advantage of the delays that you get for the crisscross. And it was quite an interesting piece. But they take it to all these different agencies and tell people about it. And the other prop they have is what they call a fair fare box. It's a fare box. But the idea is, you put your comments about the transit system inside it. And you take those comments and use it as a basis to publicize what poor people, particularly people marginalized in these centers, have to say. And what they did is they collected a number of different comments from spaces and used it to lobby and to integrate into their set of demands. And they organized a series of demonstrations. I talked about the one in Dundas Square, and also lobbying. Part of this is like speaking to city councilors and when you get some friendly MPPs like Jonah Shine, who actually is one of the founders of this campaign here, and has been a friend of ours around that. And the main challenges they face is, how do you get any progress around here? How do you get, in fact, they haven't really made much progress in terms of any of their demands because of the very recalcitrance of the political establishment, and also a lot of the issues that Stefan raised and Brenda raised in terms of what people think. And these aren't folks who have a lot of institutional power. And so I'm having a conversation with Karen Stintz's office where they met with Karen Stintz. She says, "Oh yes, we're thinking sympathetically of this transit, making transit some kind of form of cheaper tokens for them." And then they talked to her staff a couple of weeks later, and they say, "Never heard of anything like this." Didn't deny it. This kind of stuff. And also the people who do most of the organizing of the Fair Fare Coalition are people who's, because a lot of these organizations and spaces have been the victims of cuts and blackmail in terms of because you're dependent upon this funding. So there's a limit that you can do some of the best organizers in the city are limited to what they can do in terms of their time. And actually, there's a lot of courage in terms of some of the people who are doing this, because they're basically saying, you know, you can threaten us all you want, we're going to do this. And there's a lot of experience with these folks. There's time. There's actually a number of issues which are problematic. So how do they in fact deal with this, and what are some of the challenges, the ways they see it going forward? One is building alliances. That's how we in the Free and Accessible Transit campaign got to know them. Two is that they're definitely interested in the larger umbrella, and we'll use this as a kind of bridge that the TTC Riders provides in terms of having this social justice component to it. And also they're gaining more interest from members of other partnering social agencies. The people are starting, I noticed that at the meetings, it's not just the same old faces. And in fact, some of the folks there are now folks from other social agencies, people who are, you know, like, who come for help. And actually the gender balance is changing a bit. It's almost even, but the gender balance is changing. So it's a very, very interesting space, and it's one of the energy givers to this campaign, particularly the component of social justice. So